Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, the law before the storm. The war of Armageddon. Who will win? Now, who will survive? Who will win? Because the battle is on. We've been in defense mode for 50,000 years. Now it's time for us to go on the offensive and take back everything that has been taken from us. So we're going to talk about this war. We're going to talk about this law, which you've been in for the last approximately 6 months, which is almost over. We're told there will be a law, a time of decision, time to make up your mind, time to catch your breath. Approximately 6 month law. So much as in, days away, and then the storm. Because it'll be a storm like has never been before. A time of unprecedented trouble. Only the firm of heart will survive it. Everyone else will be crushed by it. This entire system will be crushed. You've never seen a storm like this. It says, there's nothing like it. The day of the Lord, a year period, there's nothing like it ever. Has ever been, nor ever will be. Nothing like it, even when the moon was blown away from the earth. This will be much greater than that. That's why it says unprecedented. That means nothing ever been like this. How will you survive it? How will you survive it? They tell you a time of unprecedented trouble, but yet there'll be no one here to guide you through it. So prophets and messengers have been coming all throughout the past, all throughout history, but a time of unprecedented trouble, there will be none. There'll be just messengers, black man, the Quran, which none of you understand. And the message taken away, and we left here in this total darkness with no one to guide us. That's what they try to tell you. That's not what the scriptures talk about. Because scriptures keep talking about this Son of Man. And we're going to talk about that. See, Elijah Muhammad thought the Son of Man was Farad. Because he interprets Son of Man meaning a son of a man. Which we're not going to knock Elijah Muhammad. See, that term is not used in Quran. He was told to use whatever he could use to build that bridge, repair that bridge from himself to Suleiman. He did a fantastic work. But Suleiman, Son of Man, is just Suleiman, because the Son of Man is supposed to be the son of God. See, they get that all mixed up. Well, who is the God? If we told God is a man, then that means Son of Man should be his son. So we know David is the God. He's the one who's going to deliver us, right? That's Farad. Well, that's Michael. So Suleiman is his son in the scripture, his spiritual son. So that's where Son of Man comes from. Suleiman is Latin. Sul-o-man, Son of Man. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So it says he would have to come himself. See, he had to be a reflection of God himself to come, because it's going to be so terrible that only he can get you through it. He would be the judge of America. He would be the judge of his people. How is he not the judge of his people? It didn't say Farad was a judge of his people, because Farad does not have the book of life. It said the Lamb would have the book of life. Now you saying Farad is the Lamb that broke the seals. So he has to be the judge, Suleiman, because he is the one that determines who goes who leaves here and who stands before Farad, his father. That's what scriptures tell us. If your name is not in his book, then Farad will not deliver you. He sent his son to do the job to break all the nations, not just America, but all of them. That's Joshua. So you have Lion Farrakhan claiming that's him. Well, unless he's going to get a makeover pretty soon, he's going to have a hard time pulling his ass out of the cemetery because he got both feet in there now. He can barely walk. So if he's going to do this fantastic job, he better do it very quick because this is last year. He will not survive this year, guaranteed. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's move on to the subject. We're going to talk about a few things here. I'm going to talk about this subject first, atom bombs. We have to understand how things work. Things don't just come happen by themselves. We get scriptures. The scientists write future scriptures every 25,000 years. They don't do it just because it's a book that you can read just for their health. No, because we have seasons. And we have a basic 24,000 year, it's 24,000 year cycle, just a little more or less, so it rounds out to 25,000 years. But it's 6,000 seasons. See, we're going through a winter season now. During Dr. Yakub, we went through a winter season. Now comes the spring. After winter comes the spring. See, that's the season that Suleiman brings in. But we went through a 6,000 year winter season. And so for each season and different phases within a season, the scientists write the books, these atom bombs, for those seasons. Because each season brings in a new reality. The reality of winter is different from the reality of fall, spring, and summer. So the books are designed, the atom bombs, to blow away the old reality to bring in the new reality. Because you need a whole new way of thinking in the winter as opposed to when you're in the summer. And so, for instance, when the winter comes, you know you need heat, you know you need clothing, you need all these different types of things, food stored up, right? So they give you the books and tell you exactly what season it is, what you can expect and anticipate it, and how to prepare for it, how to survive it, how to conquer it. And those that follow those instructions move to the next season. Because we go from one season to another season, it'll be that forever. It tells you there's 4 seasons that's what the whole idea of Ramadan is about, the four holy months. 12 months since the creation. So we go through these seasons, and we have to, and when you listen and follow that understanding, in other words, the wisdom they give you, the atom bomb they gives you, if you survive it, right, you understand it, you follow it, then you make it to the next season, and then you keep on. See, it's like a culling effect. See, so in other words, those that don't, then they don't survive it, and so they don't go into that. That keeps our nation strong and positive and powerful. Because the weak, that they'll call disbelievers or the wicked, right? Because they don't survive that season because they wasn't able to handle that explosion, because it's a mental explosion. Pressure. Thought is pressure. Thought is pressure. I can't say it enough. Thought is pressure. Pressure is force. It takes force to move anything. To move your body, you need to take thought. So thought is force. Thought is pressure. When you no longer have it, you no longer exist. Your body does not move. So that's what these are. They ignite a thought process for that particular season. Okay. And if you can adapt, relate, fit in, fall in sync with, then you're blown away. And those that do, they survive it and move, conquer it, and move on to the next season. That's where it works, brothers and sisters. So what we had is we had the sealed Bible for this season, the center of winter, Yaakub's season. That was the book for it. It says that book will be given to them. Dr. Yaqub didn't write that book. The scientist wrote it, but it was given to him to do what, because he would be the God of this season. He'd be the God of this season. So that book was ignited, and that's what you see. You see, the reality you have came out of the sealed Bible. All these ideas, capitalism, democracy, all that stuff, oppression of women, all that kind of stuff, slavery, all that stuff is in the sealed Bible. It's there. Because that's the reality of the Abrahamic covenant, our oppression, our oppressors. All that stuff is in the sealed Bible. All of it. So this reality is the reality, right, that came out of the sealed Bible. So it came from the scientists, came from the gods for this reality. And those that adjusted to this reality survive and conquer this reality. Because this was the reality of Adam. He's the last iteration. Adam and Eve, America and Britain, right? False Israel, America and Britain specifically are last iteration of Adam and Eve. There's been many. The first one is directly from the first iteration of Dr. Yaqub's creation. The one came 6,000 years ago. They're the descendants. America and Britain, they're the descendants. They're the last iteration of Adam and Eve. The last iteration. See? And they'll be the most powerful. And we was told to submit to them. See? And we did. See? Because they knew that by submitting, right, we're going to be the ones that's going to ignite the atom bomb that's going to bring in a new reality, the next season. Because all that pressure they put on us, by submitting to them, the pressure from the igniting of the sealed Bible would be so much. It's like when a thermonuclear bomb takes a fission bomb, which is atomic bomb. It takes that much power to ignite the inner bomb, the one that's inside of it. And that's the idea behind this, in simplicity. So we submitted, and now the book has been ignited. AL-INJIL. It's produced the strongest, most powerful original nation ever to exist, even more powerful than the original, 76 trillion years ago. Most powerful. But it took the power, the full power of the igniting explosive power, the full explosive power of the sealed Bible. And that's what you see all around us. All you see all this around us. See? This world came out of the sealed Bible. So now it's about to be blown away. Totally, completely. That's what atom bombs mean. That's what they are. It's scripture. See? Because what words are pressure waves. And those bombs are super pressure waves See, yes, some atoms are more powerful than others. This is the most powerful atom bomb ever made, the Angel. Most powerful one. Because it's going to blow away all the old and bring in something totally new. Make all things new. See? So it's up to Suleiman to ignite it and blow away everything. And once everything's blown away and the dust settled, then it's returned to his father, Farad. And he takes what they call when you're taking wind and what's left is spoils. He takes the spoils and makes all things new. See? Because when this is blown away, it's going to be formless. See? It's going to be formless because none of this will survive. So it won't be these computers and all this account, none of it will survive. So it'll be formless, like, just formless energy like clay. It'll be nothing. All this be gone. We won't use any of it. We won't use any of this. And then he's going to take that and make all things new. See? All things new from us. Because we're diamonds. We'll be transformed in a twinkle of an eye. You put coal on enough pressure, that's what happened. The pressure that you went under, brothers and sisters, was not in vain. It was to produce you. You don't know who you are, but you're going to find who you are in a minute. That's my job. See? But it took all this intense pressure that some of us groaned and moaned about to make a new creation that will survive forever, at least for another 76 trillion years. Might as well be forever, right? That's what you did. Seed of Abraham and the covenant. And Farah came and proved to you, came to confirm that he's going to take and fulfill that covenant. And so he raised up Suleiman, his spiritual son, right, to do the work. Bring the nations to their heel. And that's what's happening. America's the first to go down. Now, we've been at war for 50,000 years. See? Started 50,000 years ago, we was kicked off our home. So we have been strangers to our home. That's why I say we'd be strangers. We've been strangers to our land for 50,000 years. Most of us don't even know that's our land. Arabia, what they call Arabia, that's our land. That's the best part of planet Earth. Oh, it's covered with sand. Yes, to protect it. Under that is unlimited topsoil, land of milk and honey. Once that sand's blown away, it was put there to protect it so it wouldn't be spoiled by all this nonsense you see going on right now. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that right here. But that's the first stage. Second stage was 35,000 years ago. We attacked our mind. See, taking us off the mathematical standard. Religions, which requires no mathematics, no reason, no logic. They separate out from our land. Then they try to separate us from our creation. So they separate us from our land. That was our brothers, the Arabs, Ishmael, the Sunnis, over here with their BS now. They come over here to finish the job. That's the story of Joseph and his brothers. They betrayed him. See, that's the second phase of what they did, putting us in enslavement. But their first act of betrayal was their ransom of our land. They separate us from our land. They try to separate us from our creation by taking a religion. So in other words, took us off the mathematical standard. So reason, logic, mathematics doesn't apply. These religions, you just believe anything. There's no math in it, no reason, no logic, just anything. See? That was 35,000 years ago, Dr. Buddha. Then we got 6,000 years ago, Dr. Yaqub. He's from the tribe of Levites. There was three tribes: the Hindu tribe, Levite tribes, and the Shabazz tribes. Who's this? Who's the top tribe? The Levites were what they called Africa. That's where they was. That was their home. See, Hindus were called Hindu Kush up in the where you see India on that area, and we had the central part, Arabia, the best part. So we was forced into Africa. By being forced in Africa, right, then we was in contention with the Levites because that was their land. I mean, we had some understanding about how they felt about that because we've been the superior tribe. Then we was there, so we started influencing, moving into their affairs. They didn't like it, so Dr. Yaqub came along 6,000 years ago, and he made his creation part from his perspective. It was like a hammer to kick our ass, and kick the Hindus' ass because they was upset about us moving into their territory. That was his idea. See? But we had a different idea. That's why we let it happen. See? But his last iteration, Adam and Eve, what we call Gog and Magog, American Britain, which Satan or false Israel, right? Their God. They declared race war. I mean, Dr. Yaqub set it up 6,000 years ago, but they didn't really implement it until 500 years ago. They really put it in full force. They declared a race war against all the nations. That's Dr. Yaqub's creation. They declared a race war. The Europeans declared a race war, right? The Caucasians declared a race war against all the races. We use the term races. They didn't use that before. All original people. But for purposes here, we'll go along with that terminology, right? Because they made a war against the Asians, actually the Orientals. That's a whole different issue altogether. But we're not going to go into that, right? But they declared everyone else inferior. They came up with this evolution theory that they evolved from us. We stopped evolving, right? Because we evolved from apes. Apes stopped evolving, so they're animals, right? And then we evolved from apes. Then we stopped evolving, so we're animals. They kept evolving to becoming white, Caucasian. That's the top level of evolution. And so we deserve to be animals too. Because what they do with the apes, they say the apes are their descendants. They say apes. They say the apes are the ancestors. But what they do with the apes? They admit that the apes, at least they say that the apes are their ancestors. But what they do with apes? They experiment on them. Some eat them in the cages. So they say we're their ancestors, but we stop evolving. So that's where we would end up, and eventually, because we're not evolving anymore, and they're still evolving, because their next stage of evolution is this android, or not android, but cyborg. There's some mechanical things they prepare for it now. So by doing that, they became rich and powerful, because they reduced everybody to animals. That means they take stuff from everybody. So they took everything from everybody. They didn't go against themselves. The Irish didn't go in and take Italians' land. Italians didn't go and take the Russians' land, right? The English didn't go and take the Portuguese land, right? They all worked together. They took everybody else's land. That's a race war, racism. And by doing that, they took everybody else's stuff. They took America because they said they was animals. They wasn't, they deserved. They took their land from them. That's how they got. That's racism. They keep trying to say there's not race. Race is systemic, means it's the system. It's the nature of the system. So they're never going to give it up because that's the source of their power. By doing that, they became powerful because they was able to take everything from everybody. Just like what we did in the 50,000 years ago when we went into pure energy deprivation, right? Then we declared the animals edible because we wasn't eat animals before that. So then we have more access, more energy now because we can eat animals. So that allows us to have more energy, right? Because we was able to eat the animals. Same thing, that's how they got rich, because they was able to take from us because they reduced us to animals. That's what racism is all about. That's how they got land. Why do you think they brought us over here? Right? It took our labor, our wealth, our lives, our nature, everything. They left us with nothing. Nothing. But the only thing they left us with was the power to reproduce. But that was a mistake on their part because we produce stronger and stronger and stronger seed because every time the 400 years on that stream pressure ignited from the sealed Bible was under intense pressure. That means the female was under intense pressure. That means the egg had to come to fertilize that egg under intense pressure because it's part of the woman. If she was in stress, it was stressed. Whatever condition she was in, the egg was in. And so that sperm had to deal with all that. That means it had to be very strong, survive all that, and to come into existence, and then survive once it came out of the womb. And that cycle kept repeating until now we have a whole nation of diamonds. But see, they don't know they're diamonds. Like diamonds in the rough. See, once we pull them out the mud and rinse them off, they're going to sparkle. Because our people, they're beautiful. They're going to sparkle. They just don't know it yet. See, those four winds blow, it's going to blow all that shit off of them. See, because now they covered. They can't see themselves. But when that four winds blow, that I'm about to call down, it's going to blow all that shit off of them. They're going to sparkle like diamonds. Say, in twinkle of an eye. But they declared a race war, and now they're trying to talk their way out of it. They're not talking their way out of this. That's how they got rich and powerful. They're not going to give it up, because to give it up, that means they lose all their power. To give it up means they have to give America back to the Native Americans and put us back where we came from, and then take their behinds back to Europe with their ideologies and capitalism and that democracy and all that stuff. If it's such great, then why wouldn't they do it? It should be great when they get back, right? They're not going to do it because they will be impoverished like they were before they came here. So don't let them fool you about this racism. Oh, well, the ones that's talking the decrying race, the ones that's decrying race, the so-called Democratic Party, they got a whole subtle reason for doing that you don't even not aware of. But on the surface of it is that they're scared. They knew it 1619 to 2019, man. That's the 40 years. They knew that. They got the sealed Bible, and it says it right there. 1619, the 40 years, Abraham covenant is in both the so-called Old Testament and New Testament, so you can't say it was abrogated. And at the end of it, 2020, right, would be a plague that would kill the firstborn, which is the elderly. I mean, they know that. They can't tell you. So they're scared. All of a sudden, they love black people. They want to help black people. See? They want to change war. They want to get rid of the police, all that kind of stuff. See? And those things, they were set up to keep you down. In other words, if you took, like I said, if you got a person on one side of you with a rope, and you got another other side of you rope, and you trying to pull it together, they pull it against you, it's going to take a lot of force to do that, right? Depends on how strong they are. But once you get together, to keep it there, it's going to take as much strength, the energy that to get it there, it's going to take that much to keep it there. That's what police force is, to make sure you don't get back what they took from you. Don't let them fool you. That's why it was lit up. That's why I have armies, to keep the Orients, the Asians, the Africans, everything, to take it back what they took from them, to maintain their power. That's what the purpose of it is. Don't be confused. Don't be deceived. That's why they need it. That's what the police force is, to keep you down, period. There wasn't a police force before slavery. There's lying about that. The whole police force is to keep you under control so you can't take back what they took from you. We had a race war, and now the war is on, for sure. I mean, we've been in defense mode for 500 years, but now we're retaliating. The angel has been ignited. See? And now they're feeling the blast. See? And now they're scared. See? So you got one group trying to talk their way out of it. Another group, right, just running scared. Amen. We sorry. We're gonna be nice. Don't they want to buy their way out of it. Reparations, abrogate the covenant. So when God comes and say, "Hey, well, we paid them off. How you gonna judge? We paid them. They accept their settlement." See, they try to get you to accept the settlement of money they don't even have. It's not even it's blood money. It's not even their money. So why would you accept it? So in other words, they don't. If you want to take 2 states or 3 states, like Farrakhan talking about 6 states. Okay, say you get those 6 states. Say you get those 6 states. Say you get them. Okay, and then when the Native American knock on the door and say, "Can I have my states back?" What you gonna tell them? Go take a hike? Then you just bad as master, ain't you? Because it belongs to them, don't belong to the master. So it's blood money. Don't any of this. And not only that, it's even worse. Because the money they would give you be borrowed anyway, because they have no more money. They borrow their money from China. Then they're bankrupt. We're at war, brothers and sisters. See, I probably didn't mention. I mentioned they ransom our land and try to separate us from our creation, right? Okay, well that was Dr. Buddha, but that's all these religions. See, so if you want to stick in the illusions and things, brothers and sisters, then I guess you be part of the. When those bombs explode, some things are created to dust, transformed to dust, and some things are transformed to diamonds. Your choice, brothers and sisters. Okay, big misconception here. They're talking about the lightning comes from the east and flashes as far as the west. Now that's Elijah Muhammad interpreted as being Farad coming here. A wrong interpretation. I mean, but we're not going to knock them, right? Because if you read it carefully, all the things supposed to happen, when that happens, those things happen. See, because he didn't understand this. He never saw the unsealed Bible. He was talking from the sealed Bible. From the sealed Bible, you can make that interpretation, right? But if you go and look at the next, see, that's why they got 3 or 4 different books saying the same things. So you can cross-reference so you don't get confused. That's the sealed Bible has that. The ability to cross-reference, but it takes an unsealed Bible to really break it down. So this is one way, this way, one of the books says, lightning comes from the east and flashes as far as the west. Okay? Let's see what the next one says. As the lightning flashes out of one part of heaven, shines the other part of heaven. So they don't say east and west, they say from, so what does that to mean? So you can understand what they're talking about. See? So let's go look. Okay. Now here, they say all these different things will happen, right? Wherever the corpse is, the vaults be gathered, right? Okay, you can relate that to Farad, there's who's the corpse. But then all things, sun will be dark, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, powers of heaven be shaken, and the signs of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, all child of earth will mourn. None of those things happen and the Son of Man coming, clouds of the sky. You need to understand an angel, understand all that. Those things happen because it wasn't referring to him, it wasn't referring to Farad. See, because talking about Son of Man, because Elijah Muhammad made the interpretation that Son of Man meant Farad. But if the Son of Man is supposed to be the Son of God, and Farad is supposed to be the Son of Man, then who's the God? Then that would be Farad, right? See? So we're not criticizing Elijah here. He was told he told us to deal with the skilled Bible, and he did, and he made a very good, battle with it, right? He very, he was very effective, and this is what they say. But he must first suffer many things. Now, what Farad didn't suffer anything, and rejected by his generation. Farad was never rejected by his generation. See, so it couldn't have been talking about him. As was in days of Noah, so is the Son of Man be. And it's talking about all those different things. So it couldn't be talking about Farad. So you got to read the whole thing. See? So here, we'll change here. Here's what it's talking about. See? You have that angel key. Because when it says that's light, that's why I use lightning. See, lightning represents the Oriental nations. Thunder represents the Asian nations. The winds represents the African nations. When you talk about in terms of weather, right? So it says as lightning, so from one end of the heaven to the other. Now, the earth is right down, and we see the earth is under the heavens because the European countries represent the earth. Okay? So that means the heavens start right there where you see the bottom light and where you see the sun at. That's where the heavens start. That's what I said, one end of heaven to the other. See, that's what it's talking about. This is what it's talking about. So Suleiman, who represents the sun there, that's what it's talking about. See, that's what it's talking about. See, as the lightning strikes from one end of heaven to the other. That's what it's talking about. Now, this has already occurred. This already occurred. Has two inclinations there, right? Two inferences. One is when Suleiman went to NOI and they rejected him. Remember, it said he was rejected by his generation. They rejected him. See, this happened while Obama was president. It also represents the fact that he was in prison in that part of the world for 3 years. Remember, he referred to Jonah. That's why I refer to Jonah, because it means both. Because why was he in prison? Because he refused to go to NOI and talk to them. He didn't want to do it. That's the story of Jonah. That's Nineveh. He didn't want to do it because he said he knew God wasn't going to do what he said he was going to do. Because he said he was going to destroy Babylon or Nineveh after 40 years. That's after Elijah departed. That would have been in what? That would have been in 2015, right? 75, right? Plus 40 is 2015. That's why Obama was been president. He'd been the last president because Elijah Muhammad did say the black man would be the last president. And he says, "I know you're not. I know you're not going to do it." But he was told to preach that. That's the story of Jonah. So to preach that, and he says that would be the last sign given his generation. A sign of what? A sign that Jonah would make a false prophecy. Not that he was intentionally doing it; he was forced to do it. And because he refused to do it, he was locked down in that part of the world, right, for 3 years, which was Guam, which is in that part of the world. And that's what Suleiman was locked down there for 3 years during that period of time. So it has both connotations there. So now, and then he arrives. So after that, right, he wrote. So that's where he is right now, because he's teaching, right? He's not teaching to the Nation of Islam anymore. He is teaching to seed of Abraham. See, that's what he's doing now. He's not teaching to the Nation of Islam now. He left. So that's what it's talking about. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Right? That's this show people have to talk about that right here. Now what we have here? We have here is the quiet before the storm. This is the new world that's coming in, and they're trying to stop. All things made new. See? This new world they're trying to stop. See? The quiet before the storm. See? The storm is going to finally, when that storm comes, that's the final blow that's going to blow away this reality. But we're going through a period of quiet right now. It says it'd be approximately 6-month period of quiet and then the final storm. In other words, the storm's been blowing, but before it really hits full intensity, they said there would be a quiet period. It said there was a silence in heaven for space of about half an hour, which is like half a year, because the hour is a year, about 6 months. And that's we're in the period right now. It's almost over. I'm going to talk about that a little more. But this is the reality they're trying to stop. While women is safe on a throne, on the palace again, safe, secure, see, back on the throne where they belong, respected, worshipped, see, and we've brought it out, we've cleaned up this world, right? Clean it up. Our biological creation that we're going to take from here, just make it better and better and better. Because it's going to be something new that you've never seen before, that's never been seen on this planet before. In the last 76 trillion years, like I said, make all things new. But this is what they're trying to stop. This is the beginning of it. And just goes from that point, gets better and better and better, unlimited. That's why Elijah Muhammad said unlimited growth. The quiet before the storm. It's almost over. You had almost 6 months to make your mind what side you want to be on. Okay. So this is primarily so those rejectors, our people, our people, right? They haven't heard this message or anything like that. That's because they're blocking it and whatever. They're held harmless. I mean, guiltless. We're not judging them, but we're judging all these other people out here that's no better and deceiving our people, using our people like Silas and the demons, Farrakhan and them. They're not going to escape judgment. They're going to be blown away because they're proven that they're demons because they didn't get on top behind this message. They had 5, 6 months. Think about it. Been talking about this 30 years. Then they got just before the final storm, got a 6-month period to think about it. They out there want to do that thing because if they was really with Elijah Muhammad, they would be behind this. But they're about themselves, pushing their own little agendas. So they gave them a small 6, so they can't say they wasn't given a period of time to think about it. Because all the information that we've been given is out there, and they can go back and check it. And everything we've been said in the past happened exactly like it says. We talk about Exodus. Exodus has been executed exactly like it says. First to God, come Elijah. He would give a spokesman. Elijah would teach about 40 years. He would leave. The spokesman would have us in the wilderness, run around the wilderness, confusing everything, deceiving us and everything, living off us for 40 years. And then come Joshua, and then all the Farrakhan, Aaron's people would be wiped out. And then Joshua would take us back to home. Promise. It's right there, brothers and sisters. So he had time to think about it. Now the time is almost over. Now the storm. Okay, so we're going to show a couple things here. Just some background. If you look at this, right, I think you can see it. Let me just make sure. I'm going to be in the way here. See, that's good enough. So we're going to explain this. Now, we looked at the 7 seals. This is 6 of them here. Now, if you look at this, I'm briefly go through it. The first one we're worried about what he hears, not what he sees here. right? That's another story for another topic. The first seal, he hears something. This angel. The second seal, he hears something. The third one, he hears something, right? The fourth one, he hears something. I heard, they read it, right? Not the King James Version, right? And he gets to the fifth one, he doesn't hear anything. He doesn't hear anything in the fifth one. But on the sixth one, he hears. So that means there's silence between the fifth and the sixth, between the fourth and the sixth. There's silence. Because just before the sixth, there'll be silence. The sixth one is the war. The sixth one is the war. Because you read it, it says there was a great shaking. They call it earthquake, and this bad translation means the war. So there'll be a 6-month respite before the war. That's a silence. How we know it's 6 months? Because they tell you when they open the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for a space of about half an hour, which means about 6 months, between 5 and 7 months. That's where we are right now, because the time was supposed to take place in November. The war was supposed, because I put a post out, said what would happen in November, right? That would change rock the world. It's supposed to happen in November, but you got a brief 6 months respite before it hits you. Think about it. Get prepared. So that's where the silence comes from. So read it for yourself. Here's the timeline to destruction. Let's see if we can move some around a little bit. So let me put it here, man. It might be so bad. Okay, that should work. Okay, timeline to destruction. What's happening here is chapter 11 gives you a timeline. We're going to briefly go through it, right? But it talks about a timeline and a structure so you can understand it, right? Okay, it's talking about the Shia. Those are the witnesses. See, they're the Islamic part of the earth or European countries. Everyone has 6 wings. The top 2 wings are Islamic part. That's why you have an Asian part where it says where it says that's the calf. The 2 top wings would be the golden part of it, and the 2 top wings happen to represent the Arabs, which is the golden calf. Sunnism is the golden calf. Anyway, so here you go. Here it says they were prophesied 42 years. See the pattern there? 42 years, 24 years, 42 months, 24 months. There's a pattern there. Remember, it's a puzzle. It's just only Suleiman could unravel it, but now he makes it explode, so now you can understand it. See? Because that's the whole purpose, to get your mind back. That's what I'm doing for you. So it says 42 years, right? So there's the 42 years there. So it says that means from 1990, from 1948, when false Israel was established, they'd be witnesses until 42 years, that would be 1990. So in 1990, right, they was in top position in Asia, right? I mean, the Middle East. Then it says they would make war with them. They'll make war, and that would kick them out of their top position. And they would be in that position for 24 years, which they represent as days 3.5. Half of what? Half of the 42 years above it. That's how you know it's about years. That'd be 24. That'd be 21 years. Half of 42 is 21. Plus 3 is 24. It's 24 years. They've been in that position. Then it says, right? Then they will be trampled underfoot. That means they'll be under all the nations. And so they'll be under all the nations. That means trampled underfoot, right? They'll be under control of all nations. And UN represents the nations. So that means they're under you'll be under UN control for this period of time, which would be, says 42 months, which is 3.5 years. See? That's the JCOP. They're under the agreement Obama made with them. That means they would be under UN supervision, UN monitoring everything for 3.5 years. They're in that position. Then it says, right? And then it says that after that, right, 3.5 years. So where that put you? That puts you from first 42 years, put you from 1948 to 1990. The war took place in 1990, so-called Gulf War, and then and the war started in 1991. So from there, for 24 years, that puts you 2015, right? So they've been there for that 24 years, and then that 2015 was that's what the JCPOA was signed. So that means then they'll be under the bottom there, right? And they said be under there for 3.5 years, which they were until Mr. Trump broke the agreement 3.5 years later. You can't make this up, bro. Since there's the numbers, go read it. So that means after 3.5 years, after that, right? After the 42 months, that's 3.5 years. Then it says they start moving up. The Spirit of God came in and start moving up, which is a win. Because the other ones tell how long they was in that position. This would tell how long it took to get to the next position, right? And it says it would be 3 days and a half, which is not the same as the other one was. The other one was days 3.5. This is this is 3 days and a half. Half of what again? Half of the 42, which now you're talking months, because that was 42, half the 42 months. So now it's 24 months, which is 2 years. And it would take 2 years during this time period of time to be spreading plagues. So that would mean between 2018 and 6 months and 2020 and 6 months. They're spreading plague. That's the COVID-19, right? See, and that's when they're blowing. So that means they're putting pressure. They put pressure on America and Britain as far as Israel. And that's what happened. Because now they say, we're going to Richard Rain. Y'all broke the deal. Now we're going to Richard Rain. We're going to do this. Now we're going to Richard. They put more pressure on them, right? That's where we are right now. Then it said they would stand upon their feet. And that says 1 hour. So you understand that. Over the next one, right there says, in 1 hour, and in that hour occurred shaking great. That's the same terminology they use, right, for the sixth seal. That means that's the war. In that hour, that's a year period. But it tells you up there, just above that, it says, and we open up the 7, occurred silence, right? So it'll be a silence just before that. So that year would start around November 2020, right? Because that's what took you up from Trump breaking the agreement up until 2 years later, which would be 2018. The first of the year starts in March. They first day of spring spiritually. See, they scripturally they change it, but because they change that don't mean it's right. The first day of the year, known universally before the Europeans, the Romans changed it, was the first day of spring. So 6 months from there. So that'll put you. So Trump broke the agreement 6 months into 2018. 2 years later, right? 2018, 2018, 2 years later, right? No, Trump broke in 2018, right? So 2020, around November, right? That is that between that time, that's where the plagues will start. And then that's when the war was supposed to start. But it says there'll be silence in heaven for approximately half an hour, which would be 5-6 months. So that means it wouldn't take place then. It would take place 5-6 months, 5 to 7 months later. That's where we are right now. That'd be silence. There's lull before the storm. That's what's talking about there. And that's when they would go to war. And when that war breaks out, which breaks out anytime, they've been saying it. If you go and check and start looking and researching, they expect to be at war. They expect to be a nuclear war within the next month or so. They're actually saying it. Said the rocks would cry out. That's what's going on there, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to go a lot of details. I'm covering a lot of stuff, right? So I would have presentation that's explains this in detail. So I'm not going to do it here. So there it is, the lull before the storm. Because see the language is the same on the left, right? On the left, that's what it's talking about that in that hour, right? It says occurring, shaking great. And 6 seal use the same language. Shaking great occurred, same language. That's the same, that's the war. That's the war. But it happened after, right? It happened 6 months before the war, okay? In that hour, because that hour is when the war was supposed to take place, but it was delayed 6 months, between 5 and 7 months. So that's the law before the storm. Now it's almost over. But again, Friday is the final determination. It says he's the only one that actually knows when he's going to go into battle. But this text is very close. Angel takes it very close. But it says he will only know the day and the hour. See? So it limits the day and hour. So what are you talking about? He's talking about you don't know the exact date, exact hour, exact day, but you might know the right week or the right month. Just say you don't only want to know. He knows the exact precise time. I don't know the exact precise time. I can't tell you it's going to be 8 o'clock in the morning on May 10th. I can't tell you that. All I can tell you is that I'm confident it's going to be within the next 30 to 60 days. Basically what the angel says, right? Okay. And it says I've just saying 30 days, but remember he had a window there between 5 and 7 months. Okay. So then we're going to walk this again, slowly, a little slowly. Okay. They prophesied for 42 years, 1948 to 1990. That's the Shia. Then war was over 1991. Europe, America, Gog and Magog, America, Britain, as far as Israel, superseded their power. They took control of the Middle East. So they was put out. They've been in this position for 24 years, from 1991 to 2015. Then the JCOP, 2015, right? They'll be under the foot of the nations, under authority of the UN, and that will be for 42 months, or 3.5 years, from 2015 to 2018 is 6. It's around November. Remember, we start from March, not January. And then Trump broke the agreement, so now they're moving up. See, let's look at this again. See what it says demon there? Demons are also spirits. That's the God. So it says Spirit of God came into them. That means they're covering this now. And during this period of time is also will be a time they'll be spreading the plagues from 2018 to 2020, right? So that's when COVID spread. It says it right there. Read it, brother, sister. See, after 3 days, spirit of life. That's so now they're in this position. They're wind. Remember, in this position, they're moving up. How long it took them to get in that position? So wind is blowing right now. They're putting pressure on the European countries. We're going to reach to 60%. Because they said they will not allow them to get nuclear weapons. Let's put more pressure on the West. So now they're attacking their facilities and so forth, right? So that means war is imminent. Because they said if they don't come back to the JCOP, and I said watch JCOP, because it says if they go back, then that means all this is wrong. I just go back and start reading comic books or something. If they go back to JCOP, that means it's all wrong, because it said that's not going to happen. Because that means they had to go backwards. This says they're going forward, they're going to war, because the next stage is there going to be a war with America, false Israel, and Britain. That's the next stage. That's that hour we're talking about. So that means this is where they are right now. This is the time, right? Of half an hour. It's almost over. That period of time is almost over. Start in November. Now, dead war. Dead war, that's the storm. That man you denied, that's the storm. Now they're at war. That's the great shaking. That's the war. That's about to happen any day now. And that's America, falls Israel, and Britain is kicked out. They're kicked out. So it says in chapter 12, They'll be kicked out. They are angels of the dragon. Dragon is House of Sod. Not going into detail about that. That's what dragon is. House of Sod. He has 7 heads and 10 horns, right? The heads are represent European countries. They get kicked out. Fra will help them. You see all these so-called UFOs all over the place. They'd be more visible. Now they got pictures and things of them now. They're going to release report. Which thing they're doing? They said they trouble, America's trouble because they're going over all. How would they know where America's military sites are? How would they know that? They know they are because they're going over. That's where they're going. They're going to them. Because America's not going to wage a nuclear war. They're not going to let America scorch this surface of this planet. When America take and pull that, because they're going to war, and America goes to pull that trigger, they're going to find out they got blanks. Because Fry has defamed them. He's not going to allow them to offload their nuclear weapons. He's not going to allow them to do it. So therefore, they're going to be at the mercy of enemies. And then that's when the war happens. America is kicked out. Plus, now you got Babylon falls. See? The Magog is thrown into the sea. False Israel is no longer. They seized to it and took it. It's no longer. It doesn't exist anymore. It's going to cause all kinds of problems here in America, political, religious problems in America, because now it's very clear that we are true seed of Abraham. That they've been lied to. They've been lying to everybody. Because the whole idea is once you return, you'll never be uprooted. But now so-called Israel is gone. That means we are true seed of Abraham. Because a lot of problems with these people here. It's going to cause a lot of conflicts. Because at this point, right, this is when the demons, you see, it's warming up right now. Look what's going on. I tell you, a storm is brewing. You've never seen a storm like this. The demons, that's the Christian blacks, right? They're demons. The master's children. They're massing for a big, you think what happened last year with George Floyd? They did a locust they talk about. It's going to be a locust plague for 5 months. They're going to tear his country apart. That's a story about Samson, right? He went to slavery too, but he got his strength back, didn't get his eyes back. That's the demons. And he got suspicious of him and brought down America and Britain and killed himself in the process. They're going to tear his country apart internally. You see it brewing right now. It's getting worse and worse. It's brewing. You see the winds are blowing. You see all these things. You see a storm. You see a storm coming in. You see clouds rolling in. You see it start getting dark. Lightning bolts, thunder. So now you see right now, that is getting ready to turn. What happened with George Floyd last year, this is going to be nothing compared to what's getting ready to happen. All this is happening. Remember, the war's supposed to start today now. And the locusts are already storming. They're ready to storm. They got to be cut loose. It said they'll be cut loose when the angel gets his key. That means when the 4 winds blow, they're going to blow. And these people, these Negroes, they're going to blow like you've never seen before. Ain't going to be anything else rising, 6 and anything. Anything these going to be like you've never seen before. Nothing, not even close. You already see it building, right? Okay. China and Korea. Look, China's already threatening. It's already threatening America with war. You see that big storm brewing over there? Russia already threatened America with war. You see that storm brewing over there? And already, the thing about Iran, right? They're going to reach the 60 degree. No, y'all not doing anything. Either go back to JCLP or you go into war. You see the storm brewing? The same storm I've been talking about for 30 years, and anybody that's been listening to this for the last 2 or 3 years know I've been talking about this before any of this stuff came up. Before the plague came up, for any of this stuff I've been talking about it. And now we see the clouds rolling in. So now I was talking about it before. It was, hey, it's like with Noah, right? Hey, man, it's going to be a flood. Man, I don't see nothing, man. It's clear skies, everything. All of a sudden, clouds start rolling in. See? Start getting a little dark. Some lightning bolts, thunder. See? So you see storm brewing? When it hit, all this going to hit at once. As soon as that war takes place, hit it once. And then they're going to attack. They're going to attack the Nation of Islam, and they're going to be at war. It's going to be a race war here in America. At the same time, they fighting all over the country, all over the world. America's toast is gone. See, Suleiman will be in charge of the Nation of Islam. They're going to come after him. Not going to work. See, because we're protected by Farad. I'm personally protected, right? They're coming after, and the demons are going to be fighting, and they're going to need them to help fight this war. They're going to be wanting to draft them. So that's another conflict, and they're going to refuse. See, so you're going to have insurrection in America while they're trying to fight overseas. All the enemies surround them. China, right? And it says that I said the Europeans are going to turn against them. That they think they're friends, the NATO's will turn against them. Now you see reports that Putin is talking to France and telling them, why don't you leave NATO and join with us? And they say they think that Germany, when they go to war, Germany probably won't get involved. I told you, I warned you. Everything I say is coming into focus. Everything these other clowns saying is getting out of focus, getting more confusing. Everything I say is coming more focus. You see it clear every day. But your brief period of mercy, that 7 months of quiet, you didn't take advantage of it. So now you're about to get the storm. Try to get your umbrella. And there it is. See, that's when the locusts go. The first two winds blow, and that's when the locusts let loose. And they're gonna be like you've never seen before. These blacks gonna be terrible. The Nation of Islam not gonna be involved in that because they're gonna be under the day. Farrakhan's demons gonna be dispatched. They'll be gone. That's the Ancient of Days. Now he's setting. He got rid of all those old thrones, cast them out. So now he's preparing them. He's got 5 months to prepare them for the tribulation period. He got 5 months prepared. They got to go through tribulation because they allowed themselves. They were supposed to build a bridge between Elijah and Suleiman. Instead, they built mansions for Farrakhan. So now they're the silver. They got to be put back in the oven more longer. See, because they're the silver. They're talking about the gold and silver with the gold. Abraham, see, they're Levites. They're not seed of Abraham. That's the Levites. They was brought over here too. You see. But they're not, but so we're the gold and they're the silver. Talk about the Malachi, gold and silver. See? Now the gold has been purified. That's done. So the only reason the oven's still on, right? Because the silver takes a little more heat to purify it. So they got to go to the tribulation period. Take 5 months for the Suleiman to prepare them for it. Okay, one of the last things we're going to talk about, understanding pressure. Understanding pressure. Okay. Tells you here, pressure does not depend on numbers. High pressure defeats low pressure. Not the most numbers defeat the less numbers. That's why David was told, do not count how many men in your army. Because Allah always sends just one person to defeat a whole nation. How is that possible? You don't send a whole army, send one person. Because they send it with an atom bomb. See, which is thought, which is powerful. Would have been with an atom bomb that's going to bring in a greater creation, because that's what these days they bring in. They change the creation. They change the reality. That's what I mean. Change the reality. Every time it's bombed, it brings a new reality. So it's a more powerful than the old reality. So it blows away the old reality. Greater pressure blows away lower pressure. So he sends to someone with a scripture with higher. His thought is power. The power of that scripture, the thought process is greater than the reality that exists currently. So greater thought blots out weaker thought. That's why scriptures come, give you to raise your thought level. So in other words, he sent a scripture that's more powerful than the scripture that preceded it. More powerful than the scripture that preceded it. So therefore it blows away the preceding one. And that's what happens here. So he just said, like he said in the Quran blew away, right? That version of the old sealed Bible. But then when they mixed it with mathematics, it was more powerful and it blew away the Quran. and the engine will blow all the way. So I'll give you an example here. Now in the middle, that's the what's down here. In the middle, that's the profit or the pressure. It's greater pressure. It's real small, but it's pressure. It's more pressure in that little than on the outer one. See, so that's that prophet coming with a prophet or messenger coming with a greater scripture. See, an atom bomb, more powerful one. So it's a little one right in the center. See, and what happens? Bam! It blows away the old reality. So it's just one, but higher pressure blows away lower pressure. So it doesn't matter how much the lower pressure is. It doesn't matter how much it is, right? The higher pressure is going to blow it away. So you don't look at numbers. So you say, well, the angel here's one person. Look, this angel is blowing away its reality. Since 1990, the world has never been the same in America. You know that. And that's from 1990 when seals were broken. And look at, they're telling yourself they never seen anything like this. They're confused. America's totally confused. They're at war with each other, everything else. How does that happen? It's not happening by itself. It's got to be a force. Nothing. A force. They tell you if anything that's moving, right, it will not change direction. Anything unless the force acts upon it. A force will remain in motion until it takes another force to move it, change it. So something changed America. Something caused America to change in 1990. This didn't happen by itself. That means there's another force that's causing this to happen, and that's when the seals were broken, and it's changing dramatically. Look at it. America's in total turmoil. Everybody's against each other. And they even against their own selves. Teaching critical race theory. They even condemn themselves. Right? And all the killings and all this stuff and confusion and politics. And no one's ever seen anything like this. Ever. I don't care what age you are. And all this didn't and it really got bad since the beginning of last year when the plague came in. And it just gets worse. Every time I look around, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Nothing ever improves. And they say, oh, we go back to normal. But they aren't telling you that going back to normal is dangerous because all these mutants. So that means it could hit worse than it was before, which will happen. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, that's it. The lull before the storm. Understand who you are. We're in judgment. America's under judgment now. Those who took advantage of that lull before the storm, they escaped judgment. That's the law for it. You escape judgment. But if you didn't take advantage of that, then you're gonna be part of the judgment. You're gonna be in judgment. See, those who took advantage of it, it wouldn't be many. They took advantage of it, more than you think, more than you know. They said 144,000 are hidden. See? But that's a short respite. It's almost over. That's where we are, brothers and sisters. Love for the storm, right? Because the angel key has been ignited. It's spreading, but you got a little respite, like a shock wave, like you hear moment of silence and bam! So now it's about to happen. Okay, brothers and sisters, I think that covers everything. Yeah, it pretty much covers everything. So hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Don't fear. You're going back home. All these lies and everything, they can't stop it. See, like I said, die has been cast. The angel bomb has been ignited. They're trying to stop it. They can't. They're better off trying to put the sun out. Okay, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.